Let's see what we can learn by going frame by frame on the train scene from K-pop Demon Hunters. Every shot in this scene is full of so many details that you only see when you go frame by frame.
Would you two stop fighting each other and look? The tear.
It's huge.
So in this first shot here, the characters speaking are Rumi and Mira. Zoe doesn't have any lines, but as an animator, your job is to make sure that she's not just frozen in place on screen. So they're going to apply a technique called keep alive. There's not really an exact, perfect method for this, but essentially what you're doing is making sure that the character still has these subtle movements on screen so that they don't just look frozen. So in this case, Zoe is surprised at what she's seeing like the other characters. So what they're gonna do is make very subtle changes in her eye expression. If we flip back and forth, you can see that her eyebrows are shifting up here. Her shoulders are coming up ever so slightly between these two frames. Her head is dropping down. And also it looks like she's shifting her weight just a little bit to the left here. The thing about Keep Alive is you usually want to be pretty subtle with this. You don't want to take the attention off of the two speaking characters in this shot. So the demons coming out of the portal here is really funny to me because when I worked on the first Bad Guys movie, I worked in production in the effects department, and one of our tasks was to create, spoiler alert, a gigantic army of guinea pigs. So if I had to guess how they are doing this effect, I imagine what they're doing is having a crowd simulation come out of the portal this way, but each individual demon doesn't have to be animated by hand. Rather, what they're doing is creating cycles of the demons running and grabbing over each other, and then they're applying it to these particles, essentially. There are animators in the crowds department, at least at DreamWorks, that just focus on making these types of cycles. And then for this hero demon that's gonna come right at screen, that might be animated by hand by an animator in the animation department, but they will usually layer it on top of this gigantic crowd simulation. So now I have this great shot of the demons in the corner of frame here. Something I talked about a lot in my Puss in Boots analysis is a camera technique called the Dutch angle, which essentially means you're not having the camera be exactly level, but instead you're gonna be tilting the horizon ever so slightly. It's a technique used in live action filmmaking to signify that something is askew, something's not right. And then when the camera zips up to the character standing on the train, now it's at least a little more level. I do love the composition of the shot of the characters with their heads in this triangle formation. It just makes it a little bit more visually interesting than if the characters were, let's say Zoe's here, Mira's here. Let's say Rumi was pushed a little bit down this way. It would just be a straight line of these heads. So breaking up the composition of the characters' heads to be in this kind of triangle formation just makes it a little bit more visually interesting.
If you're with us, prove it.
So here's just how much work animators have to put into a character blinking. A common misconception I see about 3D animation is that the computer is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the animators. And while that is technically true, you can just let it animate for you, it's gonna give you something that's not very appealing. So let's say you're an animator and this is your timeline here. These red little diamonds are gonna be your keyframes, and these drawings here are your poses. So you have the character's eye open, and then you have it closed, and then you have it open again. So you might think that the computer is handling these in-betweens and doing this blink automatically. This movement is gonna feel very robotic and unnatural. So here's what the professional animators are doing instead. The animators are going to handle the in-betweens themselves and not let the computer do it for them. They're gonna rely on a technique called ease in and ease out. This essentially means instead of starting from 0 and just moving to a speed of 1 right away, you're gonna have the movement start very slow and then gradually speed up. That is ease out. For ease in, it's the opposite. You're gonna have the movement slow into a stop. So let's take a look at how this applies to blinking. So again, if this is our first frame, we're gonna have the movement start very subtly and have the top lid go down just a little bit. Because remember, we're easing out of this pose. For the next frame, it's going to speed up, and that's where you have the eye completely closed. When the eye starts to open back up, you're not just gonna copy this first in-between and apply it here. You're gonna do your own thing and have this half-lidded expression before the eyelid starts to settle back up in this pose here. If you think I'm making this up, let's take a look at what they do here. So they start with her eye completely open. On the next pose, the eyelid is going to move down ever so slightly. Then the eyelid speeds up and it goes completely closed. You also have the bottom lid coming up just very slightly to meet that top lid. And then you have this half-lidded expression here, and the eyes start to ease into their final pose, which is this. If this sounds like a lot of work, it's because it is. I've always said that going through movies frame by frame like this is a great way to learn about animation because you get to see exactly how the professionals do it. And if you're someone who loves to learn new things directly from the pros, I'm very excited to talk to you about today's video partner, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives, offering thousands of high-quality classes directly from industry professionals and leaders. These classes cover a variety of topics, from animation to graphic design, productivity, and so much more. One of the healthiest things you can do for your brain is to continue to learn new things. No one is too old or too late to learn something new, and Skillshare is the best place to start. For instance, you can take classes like Getting Started with Blender in 2025, which will not only level up your animation and art, but will also put you ahead in today's competitive market. Personally, I've been taking the class Unreal Engine 5 Blueprints for Beginners, and it's been so rewarding and fun to learn new skills in 3D. Last year, I took Alvin Wan's Python for Beginners class, and it helped me better understand Python inside of my 3D software of choice, Blender. The first 500 people to use my link in the description, or click this QR code, are gonna get a 1-month free trial, so you can get started with Skillshare today. Now, let's see what else we can learn by going frame by frame on this movie. So now the characters get into their fighting stance here. I gotta say, I love this like really bendy line of action that they have on Zoe. Something else that's really cool about this pose is in shape language, the strongest visual shape is usually a triangle. So with Rumi's sword being the point, you can see that they have this triangle, hello. Where did we go? Well, that was weird. Anyway, they have this really cool triangle composition going on here, and it makes them feel really grounded. Now, if we step through here, you're gonna see them crouch into this anticipation before lunging right at screen. And what's really cool is you're gonna follow Rumi's eye as it comes directly at camera. Such a cool detail. Now this shot is just awesome, and let me go through why. So you have the mass of guinea pigs, oh my gosh, PTSD. You have the mass of demons moving in on the right and the Huntrix running across the top of the train there. Now obviously this screenshot is just awesome, wallpaper worthy. Every single demon and Huntrix character here has an amazing silhouette where you have all the demons with the curled fingers and the really spiky limbs, and all of the Huntrix have these really exaggerated poses here, but you can clearly tell where all of their limbs are at one time. Oftentimes at the start of production, they will hire visual development artists, VizDev, to create some paintings for these type of iconic moments. The way that this is very carefully staged, it gives me the impression that they started with a piece of concept art and then sort of reverse engineered how to get this shot in the movie. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly what happened here, but either way, I would love to see the piece of concept art for this shot. Now check out this transition. You have the blade element shoot through here of Zoe, and you get this amazing expression on her. Now here's another tip that will separate good animators from great ones. Because this is a really close-up shot of Zoe, we want to make sure that her expression is as appealing as possible. Now Zoe is singing the song here in the background. Sorry, I can't play it. The Fun Police got me last time. But the animators are going to be sculpting these mouth shapes to be precisely what they want them to be. The reason I know this is because you can see her mouth is shifted over a little bit to the left here, and it's more open on this side than it is on this side. Even subtle things like her eye being squished up here a little bit more than it is on this side. This is creating another animation technique called asymmetry. I love when Zoe whips her arm through the shot here. You can see just how much weight and power is behind it by just this frame right here where her shoulder has moved up. Usually these big movements start with the core moving first before things like the arm and the fingers coming through. And that's exactly what they're doing here. They have the shoulder, which is the closest part to her core, move up first. And then in the next frame, you have the arms whip through, with this knife sort of acting as a smear for this. I also love that these knives sort of just appear out of nowhere and then kind of follow the direction of her fingers. I just think that's such a cool detail. And obviously this multiple knife effect here. I don't know if it's supposed to be a smear frame or it's actually all these knives, but I think it is all the knives. But now let's look at this movement closely. So we have once again, her head and her shoulders are gonna be moving first to have this arm sort of whip around. You can see they've started to move her hand a little bit screen left before it comes around screen right. So we have this ever so slight anticipation of the movement around before we get this big move. So her arm comes around here and she's gonna use that momentum to jump up this way. And now here's some more offset. Her left foot is going to move up before her right foot moves up. So you sort of get this drag of her feet, allowing your eye to follow her movement up. So now Zoe is squishing into this really small shape here. And then again, she's gonna go from this crouch position here. I guess she's gonna kick off the demon's head here first. Oh, that's really funny. So the demon tumbles this way, and then she keeps moving up this way, back into her crouch in midair. You get these amazing smear effects of the home moon as the knife shoots out. I also love these little smears coming from her arm as she shoots the knife into this poor demon. It's really cool to see how this professional demon hunter is moving so gracefully, where, you know, she's in this midair crouch, and in order to soften her landing, she's gonna stretch her legs out so that her legs hit the top of the train first, and then the rest of her body is going to crouch down into this position. And you get this awesome camera move to meet this crouch movement. You can see on this shot, they have the hands duplicated twice. A minor correction from my last video analysis of K-pop Demon Hunters is I put forward the theory that these rigs had multiple limbs on them. I was actually corrected by one of the animators, which is just so cool. Can I just say that my little videos are reaching the actual people who worked on this movie? So thank you all, number one. But anyway, the animators were saying that they have tools at Sony to add additional little hands that are not part of the main rig. So this hand would be separate geometry from the rest of the character. Huge thank you to the animators who were able to correct me on this. So now Zoe is going to anticipate the next throwing movement. I love the way her hands are posed here. Now watch this crazy camera move. So in like 4 frames here, she's gonna throw this knife across screen. And you can see they're leading with the top of the arm first. So that's gonna move up, and then you get the arm in front of the camera here. And now it's way in front of the camera at this point. But now we're gonna snap into this pose here, where her arm is moved up and away, and the knife has moved across screen. And then the camera is going to follow the knife across. Just some amazing collaboration from multiple departments here. Absolutely beautiful details on the knife itself. The designs for this movie are just insane. I do love the subtle shine effects that they have going down the knife so that it just stays a little bit more dynamic. And then the knife is going to be used as sort of a transition element from Zoe to Mira. So now we have Mira in frame here, swinging her weapon around. It's really fun to see these crazy like smear frames that they have as the weapon moves through the air. Once again, it's funny to see that they're not prioritizing making her feet exactly on top of the train, because ostensibly the audience's eye is looking at the character's face. Because this camera move is just insane, we want to make sure that everyone's seeing what's going on here. Something that I see them do a lot in this movie, which is really cool, is they will have a movement be preceded by the character's head getting like right in camera for just like a few frames. So look here. So they have Mira's face get really big in camera. Then she's gonna swing her arm this way through here, puncture this demon here. I bet the artist had fun doing this shot. So the blade pierces through this demon's skin and is like pulling it up. This is supposed to be a PG movie. Now after this move, the camera's gonna zoom back up to be in a medium shot here. We get these awesome smears while she's rotating the blade above her head. Then you get this robotic camera move up as she swings her weapon down this way. Another awesome smear frame here. Sometimes on these quick movements, what they're gonna do is make the character look first before they actually turn their body. So you can see Mira starts to look in the direction of these demons over here, and then starts to move her body in that direction. It seems like she has this really loose grip on this weapon in order for her to keep swinging it around. So then the camera cuts to this next shot, and we have her swing through these demons with this awesome smear line effect. I can't imagine how hard it was to keep track of her hair in this shot. I mean, just watch here. The hair just starts to like come through. Okay, so she's looking down this way. So her hair from here is moving up. The animation technique here is called secondary animation. So her hair is going to follow the movements of her head. So she's gonna look down here, and then, yeah, so she's swinging around this way and just continuing this flourish and just hitting all the demons around her. The amount of work in this shot alone is just so crazy. So she swings up and our eye returns to over here. So she's using this move to propel herself up off of the ground. We get this static hold of her in the air holding this pose. Now watch her feet here. This is really cool. Her shoe is actually going to almost hit the camera, just go right past it like that. Side note, I did something very similar with one of my Bionicle animations. Then she pushes past camera and we get the smear of her lance coming down. I know it's not called a lance. Can someone please in the comments tell me what the name of her weapon is? Thank you. And now on this movement here, you can see that they've added some camera shake where the camera is moving up and down as she just hit her weapon like right past camera. Now she's gonna try to pull the weapon out of the train top. So her core is going to move first and then her arms are gonna follow, followed by the actual lance itself. herself. So this part of her weapon is going to come through frame here, and then this is, I believe, a demon. Yeah, okay, yeah, so it opens up as she just disintegrated this demon. And then here's another transition handoff where you see Rumi in the background. You can see Mira start to look off screen this way, and then she's going to move out of frame that way. And now we're on Rumi. What an absolutely amazing shot. I really like these zip lines that you can see on the side here as she's running and hurtling towards camera. So after she slays this demon, we're gonna get some really cool acting here. So let's kind of step through this. So it's clear that Rumi here is having some second guesses about the lyrics of demons having no feelings. Usually the way that animators will have a character appear to be thinking is they're gonna have these really tiny little changes in where the character's looking. It's a little easier to see on this one, but you can see her eyes darting back and forth ever so slightly to go left and then right. And then she's gonna look up at the end here. Another thing that separates good animators from great ones is acting. Animators are actors because they have to know the difference between the slightest micro expression changes. Oftentimes studios will bring in professional actors to help out animators become better actors. Now in the next shot here, you see this demon with, I think, like leaves on his head? Oh no, it's hair. Okay, that's cool. Now you have a very clear expression change on Rumi as she realizes, oh shoot, I gotta do something. And like just in time, gets the blade up for this character to swing through here. You have this really quick reaction shot of her eyes for literally 8 frames. Then the demon comes through and swings, and the camera is gonna move back with Rumi as she tumbles backwards. I love the way that they animate her braid so much. It just acts as this like demon tail basically, but it also allows your eye to follow the movement of her just tumbling back. Having these little secondary animation bits allows the audience to see just a little bit better what is happening in these crazy complex shots. So once again, you have this Dutch angle of the horizon line being askew, now even more so than before, because something is now definitely wrong. So now the camera tilts up and we start to see the demon hold his club up, but check this out, this is brutal. A knife comes in and hits him right in the eye. Ow. So Zoe comes through here, kicks off of this demon head, pushes herself out and kicks the demon in the head with the knife still in his eye. Oh, that's so cool. And now Mira comes in and, oh my gosh, she decapitates the demon here. God, this movie's so cool. And now you have Mira spin around and she's going to hit her blade into the top of the train here, and the magic is going to get dispersed in this amazing, like, I mean, first of all, we got these hand-drawn elements in here, and then you have the Honmoon kind of shooting up and over the demons, kind of matching the energy from the very beginning of the movie. And now the demons are eradicated. I feel like Mira maybe could have led with that, but still a great scene. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here, please subscribe. We'd love to have you around for more videos. Let me know if there's other scenes from this movie that you want me to look at, or if you're sick of this movie and you want me to look at something else, let me know. Until next time, thank you for watching.